Hi, how's everybody doing today on this amazing Thursday, rainy day here in Michigan? But welcome to another edition of the Cronin Challenge to Change. Today, as you know, is a Thursday, and our Thursday shows are typically designed for our Cronin Law Show, where we have attorneys answering all the questions that you may have, anything relating to this Cronin, not the Cronin, but the coronavirus and the pandemic and how it affects us from a legal perspective on our daily lives and sometimes our global situation, but also anything that you have relative to your life, any issues you might have, whether it's family law, business law, any kind of real estate matters, litigation, whatever legal issue that you may face or have questions about. We were here and are here for you, and our Thursday shows are typically designed for that. The reason why I'm presenting to you today the Cronin Challenge to Change is we were supposed to have Chief Craig with us, and I'm so proud and honored to be able to say that to you, but unfortunately duty calls, and he was called away to do his so very important job duties today. As you know, our area has been inflicted with some turmoil, as has the entire nation, and of course, duty calls. So I wanted to bring to you another edition of our Cronin Challenge to Change. And as you all know, the reason why I started the Cronin Challenge to Change is because I wanted a forum for some of our parents to be able to talk and ask questions freely and openly and honestly. And this has been such a hot topic, and this has been such a need in our community for some guidance and support that I decided to design a workshop. And I'm so excited to tell you that I've been working around the clock. My team and I were so excited to be able to prepare and get for you a workshop, which we are going to be launching in August. So I can't wait. And we're hoping for August. It might be September. So it is designed to help parents and co-parents get along effectively, learn how to communicate, and learn just how to be the best people they can be for their children's best interest. You know, you may not know this, some of you don't know this, but I've been a practicing attorney for over 25 years. I have dealt with family law matters for a very long time. And what is most important to me is how our families can not only survive, but thrive. And I have seen so much turmoil in young people's lives, and it's just heartbreaking. And when I see people fighting during the divorce, and when I see attorneys inflating the issues and causing so much stress for the parties, when they otherwise could coach them to say, you know what, hey, we have to be a little more reasonable here. And then things would just calm right down. But instead, sometimes we get attorneys that just want to fight for the sake of fighting and add insult to injury and cause all this trauma and all this drama for this family that is hurting. They're hurting already, and they need some guidance. They need some strong people to say, you know what, you are not serving your children here. So, let's step back and let's really look at the basics. And before I get into the workshops that I'm going to be presenting to you, and before I get into some of the content, just to give you some teasers, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name, as you know, is Sabrina Shaheen Cronin. Now, Cronin is my married name, my formerly married name. I am a divorced single mom of 3 kids. And I struggle just like you. I mean, it's hard to navigate the co-parenting waters. And sometimes it's especially difficult when there's raw emotion involved. And when you deal with raw emotion, people don't act in their best ways. So let's take a step back and let's focus on what matters. Again, that's the children. So yes, I'm coming to you not only from my years of experience dealing with family law issues and families and high conflict divorce cases, custody cases, money issues, business separations, all of that I've dealt with in my career. I'm also coming to you from a practical, reasonable, real life experiences. I get it. I know where you are. I've walked the walk. I truly, truly understand you. So I can help. We can walk it through together, and I can help bring out your best selves so that your life doesn't have to suck, so that you can have fun and you can thrive despite the divorce, despite the family situation. I've had parents come to me and say, I should have just stayed married. For all the trauma, for all the difficulty, for all this toxicity that I'm dealing with post-divorce, I should have just stayed married because I was dealing with the same issues, but at least I had my kids 100% of the time. You know how many times I've heard that from my clients? Well, I want to tell you, as I tell them, that you would not be your best self in that marriage. So then you would not be your best parent for your kids in that marriage. Once you take a step outside of that toxic environment, then you can be a better version of yourself, to rise higher, to be better. And guess who is the beneficiary of that? Your kids. So it may take a little bit of time and definitely some work on yourself, but it will be better. I can promise you that. And again, it's a process. Things don't happen overnight. Just like someone who wants to get in shape and start going to the gym. Well, after, not doing that for 30 or 40 years, their muscles aren't going to bounce back right away. So it takes a process. It takes a discipline. It takes a concerted effort to really want to work on yourself. So when I talk to you about my workshops, I want those people in my workshops to be those kind of people. I want someone who wants to be there, who's eager to learn, who wants to change, who wants better for themselves and for their children. So if you don't want those things, if that doesn't fit you and those descriptions don't fit you, well, then this workshop probably isn't for you. But if you're someone who wants better for yourself, who wants better for your kids, no matter what your ex is doing, no matter what they're doing or not doing, you can't control other people. The only thing we can control is ourselves. So if you're listening to this and you're in the middle of a divorce, you're in the middle of a custody battle, and you have a lawyer who is dealing with, your matter and why, they're raising the issues, if that divorce attorney isn't for you, or that custody matter, that attorney isn't for you, well, then you certainly need to say, hey, I want to work things out amicably, or no, I really want to fight hard, but you have to make sure that's your choice. So this is the reason why I'm bringing to you my workshops. And I have someone here showing me some information from our viewers and some questions, and I'll come to you with those later. So if I seem a little distracted, that's why. I'm getting some questions presented to me from our amazing viewers, and I will get you those questions right away. But let's take a step back again, and I'll continue to tell you a little bit about me. So as you know, I've been a practicing lawyer for 25 years. It's a long time. I know it sounds like a long time, but it goes by fast. They say that time goes by fast, but when you really see it, it's in the face of your children. When you see children grow, that's when you know time is passing. And don't you want to live the best life possible? Yes. So for me, I never had a grand plan of owning my own law firm. I started out early on in my career as a lawyer. I was working very, very hard. I worked through law school. I got an MBA. I was working really hard. And then I started working for a law firm while I was in school, clerking, that usual route. And then once I was still working there, I passed the bar. They took me in as a lawyer. I was a young, eager associate, all those billable hours, working really hard. Back when I started, we worked around the clock. Working till 7, 8 o'clock at night, every night, was not unusual. And so, working really hard in these law firms, starting out, I did a lot of litigation. And from there, I, went to another large law firm, and I was in-house counsel for a large corporation. Then I was general counsel for another large corporation. So I did a lot of litigation. I've done a lot of business work. And then from there, I went to the prosecutor's office. And that's not your usual route. Most people start right from law school at the prosecutor's office. But I did it because I wanted to feel a little more empowered. I wanted to hone my trial skills a little more. I had been in-house counsel for a while. So I really wanted to, challenge myself here, Challenge2Change. I was challenging myself back then. And I learned a lot in the prosecutor's office. It was a shorter stint. It was about 3 years. But I grew as a trial attorney so much. And not only that, I was able to focus on victims. And I saw young children. I saw abused women. I saw men who were in tumultuous, positions. These victims of crime, and dealing with children who were victims of neglect and abuse. And just horror stories. I can't make some of the stuff up that I saw and that I was helping. And it shifted some of my passions. And I was then able to step in their shoes. And not only was I helping them, but I was helping myself in the process to grow, to be stronger, to be wiser. And then from the prosecutor's office, I am a musician. And so I was doing a lot of music as well. I took a step back. I had some children, 3, and I was performing. I was doing a lot of my music during that time. And I do have a creative side, which is why I like to bring to you solutions and ideas from a creative standpoint. And I think that adds to my ability as a lawyer. And so doing all of that really taught me, and it kind of rounded out my experiences. And so as I was, getting more into the law, once I was doing a lot of my music after I left the prosecutor's office, I was still handling cases, more and more family law cases, and some criminal defense cases, and some business cases. But as I was growing my own practice organically, I thought, I better hang a shingle, because it was getting harder and harder to meet with clients at a Starbucks. It just wasn't very professional. So as much as I love Starbucks, there's a shout out to them. I really thought I needed to, start my own firm. And so I opened up an office. I was nervous to rent some space, but I did it. And, nobody taught me how to run a business. I have an MBA, but nobody taught me how hard it is to own your own business. It was all through just trial and error, and made a ton of mistakes. But I'm so proud to tell you that now, on my own, with no help from anybody, I am grown now to an amazing law firm. I have a great team of people behind me. We work together. We provide excellent service for our clients. And I have a high standard of that service. From an early age, my goal in life was helping other people. I've always been, told I was too sensitive. And now I look at it that I am just so happy to be sensitive, because I understand what the needs of somebody else are. When you're not sensitive to other people, you can't pick up on their energy or what they might be feeling or what they might be needing. And I've been a caretaker since I was little. I took care of my ex-husband's sick father for 3 years with my own hands in my home. I love caring for people, and the law is very great at allowing me to do that, because I can help people when they're at their most vulnerable, when they need that help and they don't understand the law. So they look to me and my team for our areas of expertise. And whether it's family law, custody, criminal defense, real estate, personal injury, anything that you need, we can help. So that's a shout out to the Cronin Law Firm, who does an amazing, amazing job. But getting back to the workshops. So during my, creating my firm and growing my firm and realizing what people need, I have been in a position that I've realized, people really need coaching, beyond a legal perspective. They need a pragmatic, practical perspective. We handle, as I've told you, I've had a lot of high conflict divorce and custody cases. And I want to empower people to know how to communicate effectively with their ex or with the other parent, so that they can co-parent effectively. And usually, like in business, the chokehold of that communication is usually the people. They say that the chokehold of any business is the business owner. And in order for a business to thrive, that business owner has to take it in, take all ego out and say, you know what? I have to be better. I have to be stronger. I am the chokehold, and I have to look at all of my, negatives and the downsides of me, and to get better and better. Well, that's very similar to co-parenting. And so, people don't want to look at themselves necessarily. People are often so quick to blame somebody else for their problems, or to say, you know what, I'm in this position because my ex did X, Y, or Z. He gambled all of our money away, or he spent everything away, or he, cheated on me, or she, was an addict, or she had 10 boyfriends, or she slept with the pool boy, or whatever it is, right? People are always so quick to blame the other person, which is, it's part of the healing process. I get it. Everybody's mad. They show their, anger in a different way, or they, or they're depressed, or they're anxious, or they're sad. People mourn loss in a variety of ways. But in order to not repeat patterns, and in order, not to pick the same person out again and again and again, and in order to better your own life, and in order to be a better parent, I strongly urge you to work on yourself. Whether it's, working on yourself with somebody else through counseling, through therapy, through volunteer work. We get a lot of personal growth from giving to others and helping others, which is why I so passionately want to help you all. In addition, to helping you, I know that you can then turn around and be beacons of light for other people, right? So it's so important to know that your life matters, and that you can effectuate positive change, not only in yourself and in your children, but in, your friends and your family and your communities. So I want to create this amazing ripple effect, that we create such an awesome stage for our youth, so that they're not faced with depression and anxiety and suicide rates through the roof. It really saddens me to see our youth so sad, and so angry, and so depressed and anxious. And I know a lot of it has to do with the way parents cannot learn how to coexist. When I see the parents fighting and fighting and fighting, and the children are watching, and they're hearing, and they're listening, and they're sad, and they're depressed, and they act out, and they're angry, and they get involved in drugs, and they get involved in bad, friendships or gangs, or they're, attempting suicide, or they're screaming out for help, and nobody's there for them, because the parents are so wrapped up in their own messes that they cannot see how desperate their children are for their attention. They didn't ask for this, guys, so we can be better. We have to be better for them. So, my workshops are designed to help you be better versions of yourself, so that you can not only be a better co-parent, but you can be a better parent for your children. I want to change the next generation of young people coming up. The statistics are just horrible, and I want to change that, so that we have a brighter future for our kids. Our nation will be better. They're the future leaders, and we want to create a country that's just dynamic, with happy kids who are then productive, effective, happy, successful adults, and who want relationships. The younger millennials now don't want to get married because they were so just, filled with trauma and traumatic experiences from their youth because of the way their parents handled their divorces. Those statistics, those numbers don't lie. So let's do and be better for them. Okay. So I want to talk you through the workshops and some of the ideas that I have, because I'd love your feedback, because what you want, I'll address. I'm now in the early stages of developing this amazing program. So if you want to provide me your feedback regarding the content, I'd love to listen, because I want it to be helpful for you, and I really want you to get something out of it. So the first part of really learning how to be an effective co-parent is really all about confidence. You know, it's really with anything, confidence helps so much. And in order to be sure in your actions and to know that you're doing the right thing or setting the boundaries that you need to set, you know, you have to be confident in your decisions, confident in your choices, confident in your role as a mother or a father or a co-parent. You need to be confident so that when you hear outside voices from, you know, usually well-intentioned family members or friends, you know that the choices you're making for your family are the best choices for everyone involved. They also say that, you know, what's best for you is what's best for everybody. So if you are living your true authentic self and you're being true to you, well, then things will happen naturally and organically, and everything will really turn around for the better. But you have to be confident in your choices. I know a lot of people that aren't sure about divorce. If you're married and you need to co-parent or need to get a divorce, or if you're not married and you do have children together and you just are looking at separating, I have often heard, well, I'm not sure. I don't know what to do. Then I say, well, if you're not sure, then you have to be sure, because you have to feel confident that you've worked at it as best as you can, that you've given it your all, that you know exactly the next steps that you want to take. You have to be confident in your choices. So confidence is number one, and we'll work on that together and how to get that inner confidence. The next focus I really like to do is on personal health, because unless you feel good about yourself, you can't be good for anyone else, let alone an effective parent. So you really have to make sure you are maintaining your rituals, feeding yourself with everything you need, whether it's, you know, the counseling, whether it's the therapy, whether it's the daily, you know, working out, meditating, whatever it is that you need to do to feel good about yourself, then you need to do that. Because without you being positive and happy and whole, you certainly can't be those things for your children. Then, you know, I would like to also talk to you about faking it till you make it. Now, this is a little bit more controversial, but there are definite, you know, statistics out there that say, you know, for instance, if you're not feeling happy or you're just feeling down one day and you put on a smile and you force yourself to smile, well, then you'll feel happier. So, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand with, you know, faking it till you make it. You know, the outside influences the in. So if you're not happy with your surroundings, if you're not happy with where you are, if you're not happy with who you might be next to on any given day or a friend in your life, you have to surround yourself with like-minded people. You know, with divorce or separating from a relationship comes a lot of change, you know, and sometimes you have fallout from friends and family members, and there's a lot of very judgmental people out there. And you want to surround yourself with loving, kind people. And it's hard. Sometimes it's very hard to think that, you know, this person's on team A or team B and, you know, they're not my friend anymore. It's a very, very painful thing, because you're not only losing, you know, a spouse, you're losing their family. And so things change, and it's hard not to feel saddened, and it takes time. But the people that know you and the people that truly, truly love you and care about you will still be there. family is still family. It just looks a little different. And you can still maintain relationships if it serves you, if it works for you, if those people are kind and loving and they're okay to, relationships take two, so it's very important that you start surrounding yourself with the positive energy. And, it's hard. Sometimes you want to shout off on the rooftops, shout out, what happened, and you want to get your vindication, and you need to be right, and you want to, everybody in the world and their brother to know what happened to you. But sometimes, the truth has a way of surfacing, and I believe that whatever you put out in the universe will come back to you. So always remember to show respect for everybody, and that respect will come back. So be kind. And again, kindness doesn't mean weakness. So if you have to fake a smile once in a while, that fake smile will eventually become organic. I also like to tell a little story about another statistics that I know that says that, the song Happy by Pharrell Williams. Well, there's a family that would play it every morning. And the family that played it every morning had such happy kids, even in the mornings that they didn't want to, get out of bed or feel happy, or they were down or whatever. They didn't want to go to school. That made them happier, and then there are those families that never played it. This was a study that was done, and there were families that played it and families that didn't. And the families that played the song made them happier. And, again, that's like putting a smile on your face every few minutes. Just do it. It's like the Nike, just do it. And it'll help. Trust me on that. It'll help. They also talk about these Superman poses, if you, or Wonder Woman poses, if you're afraid of something, if you don't want to tackle something, or if you think that your ex is coming into your house and you just can't, gather the strength or the energy to deal with her or him, on an exchange of your kids, then grab that Superman pose or grab that Wonder Woman pose. Do it, a few moments before you have to deal with them, and it will help. It will help. So these are some of the lessons and the tools that I'll walk you through and that I'll teach you so that you, again, can empower yourself to be better. Then I'll walk you through some things like various tools that you can do on your own, like a clarity tool. Let's get really clear about how you see your role in this co-parenting relationship. How do you see, a year from now, looking back, what would you say is your best year? So let's take a look at that. So right now we're in July of 2020. Let's, I challenge each of you right now to take a pad of paper and a pen and go sit somewhere quiet and write down there July 2021. And you look back, what would make this your best year yet? COVID or no COVID, I don't really care. What would make 2020 to 2021 your best year? Write those things down and then get clear on why you want those things. So let's focus on a co-parenting relationship, for instance. Why or what rather would make you have the best relationship with the father or mother of your children? What? Write it down. Get clear on really what would be best for you and your children. And then let's figure out how to get there. If the why is strong enough, the how will follow so easily and organically. And we'll work to make it happen. And just again, like that muscle, it takes time and effort, and it's not always easy to train yourselves to figure out how to get there. Let's do it. But why? Why do you want it? And then don't just stop at the first why. Answer the question and then go a little deeper. With each answer, and sometimes, it's helpful, and in our workshops, we'll use like a few people to do it because it's easier to ask somebody else than to ask yourself. But continue to ask why. Well, why do you want that? Okay, well then why? Keep asking yourself the whys, and you'll get to the real truth and the heart of the matter. Why? So from there, The next thing that we really, really have to work on, ladies and gentlemen, and I have a problem with this too, I'll admit, stop taking things so personally. So, if your ex is, not sending you a message the right way, or is, constantly having to be right, or fights you tooth and nail, or, has to win every argument, or whatever, it's not about you at that point. And that's a hard lesson, I think, for a lot of us to learn. We're in a culture of, especially now, everyone takes things so personally. If, people can't talk about politics without taking it personally, and that's really, I think, the heart of our problem as a nation. Without getting into politics, people take things so personally that it's dividing our country. And also then it divides families, and everything is a ripple effect. The way we behave in our home is the way we behave in the community, is the way we behave in our state, and then is the way we behave in our nation. So taking things personally, we're causing problems in our nation, people. So let's start in the home. Let's get back to our basic values of what? Being kind, not taking things so personally, and being true to our word. Follow your actions with the words. The words that you speak should be authentic and real, and then follow with actions to back it up. That's called integrity, people. We have lost our integrity. We have lost our character as people. And once we get that back, we'll be better parents, we'll be better family members, we'll be better just in general. So that's first and foremost. So if you stop taking things so personally, then you can just let things go and be the best version of yourself. And your reactions to things won't be based on such high emotion. And then you can move forward. I often, coach my clients to take a pause or a breath, or maybe even several hours or a day, maybe not more than a day, but several hours to respond, and especially in a high conflict situation. Don't have a knee-jerk response to a text that's caused you a lot of anxiety. Pause, go do something that calms you, and then go back to it. And sometimes rewrite it 2 or 3 times. If you can honestly read something that is more factually based and a little more professional sounding, but kind and courteous, a little more formal maybe, it's okay. I'd rather that than something with, just jabs back at the other person with high emotion and strong reactions. It serves nobody. And then guess what? It just elevates the problem and the conflict. And then nobody is served. And your children are over there in the corner watching you and causing, having you cause them all this anxiety and grief. And it's not worth it. So be better, take a deep breath, control yourself, because you can't control anybody else. And then things will be so much better. And I don't care if you're, first of all, the court doesn't care if whatever that person did to you, whether, back then, whether it's lying or conning you out of a ton of money or cheating or, having a house full of prostitutes. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. You do, because you're so hurt, right? Oh my gosh, I was the best husband to my wife, and I took care of her. I brought home so much money for her. She could go shopping anytime she wanted. I built her this amazing home, and I worked my butt off to try to provide. And here she was sleeping with the pool boy. Well, yeah, I know that's awful. It truly sucks. You chose this woman. You chose this person. And at the time, you never thought you'd be divorced from this love of your life. Well, guess what? She didn't have the character or the integrity that you thought she did. You had children with her. But don't act out if you have children involved, because as much as you want to, your children will suffer. They're still, their mother's children, and that's still their mom. So, you don't have to be involved with that person anymore. You can remove yourself from that relationship as an intimate relationship, but you still have to co-parent. And I beseech you, I strongly urge you, I implore you, short of demanding you to be everything you possibly can be. Get a hold of yourself, get a hold of your emotions, and you'll do so much better in the long run. And I promise you, you will flourish in your life. There's a saying that, with every setback comes so much, strength. And, with every challenge and every adversity in your life, you just are propelled that much further if you work at it. Sometimes challenges cause people to, just suffer needlessly and end their lives and live in that depressive state. But you have to work hard, work very, very hard at turning your life around. And I can promise you that there will be a rainbow at the end, and you will live a glorious life, and you will see happiness and joy, and you will live better, far beyond your wildest dreams. You will have an abundant life if you work at it. It doesn't come easy, but nothing worth anything comes easy, right? You have to work at it. So after you don't take things so personally, and after you don't react with hostility and you take a breath, I will also ask each of you to write a not to do list. Like, what are you doing right now? That when you look back on your year, so you have your list of things that made the best year yet, right? What are you doing that's kind of a time suck, that takes so much of your time and energy and effort that, you could accomplish so many other things. You could read a book that's helpful give good tools and lessons. You could go volunteer. You could spend more time with your children. You could focus more on cleaning that closet. You could get rid of some of the old stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. You could work more on yourself. What are the things that you're doing that really, don't serve you or your children? Get rid of those things. Or what could you do? What could you farm out to somebody? If you can afford someone to do your, lawn, for instance, that'll free up an hour of your time every week. What could you do then? If you could hire someone to clean your house, that'd be great. But if you can't afford that right now, if you really, are just struggling financially, then let's look at how you can maybe barter with somebody. Have a friend come over and say, what, for an hour, I'll, or if you're a manicurist or a beautician, help them, maybe do their nails while they can clean your house, or I don't know, be creative, come up with creative ways and solutions so that it will free your time so that you are more, consciously aware of what you can do with your life. Because once a day is gone, we can't get that day back. We can't get our time back. So let's focus on positive things and not on things that are time sucks, like dwelling on the past, dwelling on things that you can't change. Because the more we dwell on stuff in the past, the more it becomes our present, and that's our future. We're trying to create the best year of our life. So let's create it and let's make it happen. So, let's work on ways to find time. So by finding time, it's like not to do. It's a must to do the not to do list. Okay. So once we have that figured out, we're going to talk about our, not to get angry list. What are the things in your life that you get angry about that really you don't or shouldn't be angry about, that you have no control over? That takes so much energy and effort. We really need to focus more on positive things and what we can do to be more positive. And for our children too, let's get them away from some of the technology and their video games, and let's work, even if it's just like 20 minutes a day, playing a board game, playing cards with them. They'll remember that forever. And, these little things that you can do will help bring you together as a family unit, especially if they're feeling a little disjointed post-divorce. That really helps. That one-on-one time or the time with your children, it really helps them to grow, and it helps them to feel bonded, because they need that attention too. It's not just you. They need that love. They need that attention. And each child needs attention differently. So, if they're old enough, ask them, hey, honey, what is it that you need from mommy right now? Or if they're crying or they're obviously so upset about something and you're not fulfilling that need, ask them. Kids they're not shy about telling you what they want or need. And obviously if it's, not within the realm of reasonableness and, too demanding or, not in the best interest of that child, it's going to cause them to be more spoiled or have too much sugar, be obviously the parent still, but within reason, help fill their bucket. They too have emotional needs, and you really need to try to serve them as well. And again, that's just all about communication. So communicating with your ex, communicating with your children. And, when it comes to communicating, there's a lot about negotiation that plays into this. So we try to negotiate with somebody, and if you're dealing with an ex, sometimes you have to negotiate, as much as I don't like all that tit for tat stuff, sometimes it's the reality of the situation. And, same with your children, sometimes you have to learn the art of negotiation. And what does that mean to you? And what does that mean to them? And so you have to think about, what do I really want? What do I need? And is it nice to have, or can I live without it? So these are the things that you have to ask yourself. And again, that goes back to the beginning of what I was saying in our workshop is the clarity. You have to get clear on what it is you want. So going back to our best year yet, what is it that you want in a co-parent? How do you want your co-parenting relationship to be? How do you want your relationship with your children to be? How do you want your children's relationship to be with the other parent? These are all the questions you have to ask yourself and get really, really clear on. And only then will you be able to figure out, okay, this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is what I can kind of live with or do away with. That's negotiating. And that's when you'll be armed with your more powerful self to be able to take a step back, take emotion out of it, and then deal with the consequences in the situation as best as you possibly can. So, I kind of walked you through my outline and my workshop. I really, really hope all of you take advantage of it. I'm going to be taking some questions now. And as I look at my phone, it's because this is where all my questions come in from. Wow, we got lots of questions. So, will these workshops require both parents or can only one attend? I am going to be asking courts eventually to suggest and refer the litigants our way to our workshops. And if both parents can attend, I think it's great. I think it shows a unification. I think it shows forward thinking, progressive thinking. I think it shows maturity. And yes, certainly both parents can attend. It's not required. I mean, you can get a lot out of this without the other parent there. Again, it's not about controlling the other person. It's about controlling yourself. Because when you react to things differently, well, that causes, again, that ripple effect in someone else. And I had Ryan Beal on the other day on Tuesday on my other Challenge2Change program. And he was talking about how there are studies that have been done that show another household down the street and how they act will cause an energy shift and a ripple effect to a household that has nothing to do with that other household. It's just how one person affects another person, and that effect eventually comes to you. So by showing and growing and just being the mature adult, then that will change someone else's reaction and then behaviors, and then that has a ripple effect. So by you changing yourself and growing, then of course that will change the other person. It's kind of the law of nature, and it's human nature. And how will the workshops be available? So the workshops will be available in person eventually once this COVID pandemic lifts. Let's hope it's sooner than later. But once all the protocols and proper procedures, happen, and once people, maintain, become healthier and everybody's safe and, all the facilities are open, we will be doing open and live workshops. For now, these workshops will be online and they'll be weekly. We'll do an hour every week and I'll give you homework to do. And then we'll come back, and for added value, if you want one-on-one sessions, I'm going to be offering that. So as we get our workshops and our programs together, these are the things that will be presented, and you have different options depending on your tolerance for your spending and what you can afford at that moment. But I will be offering a lot of different value adds and things that will help you. And of course, you can always add various things and various products as time goes on. Here's another question. Will there be a parent-child workshop so we can improve our communication with one another? Oh, that's a very, very good question. The parent-child workshops will definitely be coming out. I can't say when. We're working diligently. We have all these ideas. And yes, parent-child workshop is in our midst. We are definitely working on that. But right now, our first workshop is going to be for the parents. But once you have those tools, you can start implementing them with your children right away. But the workshops will definitely help you to hone those skills even better. I have another question I'll ask you, not me, but from a reader, from a viewer, I should say. Here's the question. To be honest, I have so much hurt and anger in me, Sabrina. How can I take small steps to move on? I've been divorced for 8 months and I have been deeply hurt and blindsided by my husband's cheating. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I can empathize. It's not an easy situation. When this happens, yes, you've been blindsided and you probably thought you were being the best wife you possibly could be, doing everything you thought he wanted and needed. And, when someone's duplicitous like that, it just cuts the rug right from under your feet. But you have to get a hold of it. You have to learn, say, I'm sure you weren't perfect in your relationship, and I'm sure there were things about you that hurt him. Does it, warrant his cheating? I'm not saying that. No. It's always better to be open and honest and upfront, and have integrity in your actions and your words. But that being said, just because he wasn't that way doesn't mean, you can't. You can still maintain that honesty and integrity. And if it's really hard for you to deal with him because of that, then just be honest and say, you know what? I want to be the best co-parent I can be, and I will deal with you, as a co-parent as respectfully and kindly as possible. But it's going to take me some time to be beyond that. Or it's going to take me some time to allow you to walk in my house. Or it's going to take me some time to, whatever it is. So you need that time to heal, and you need to set those boundaries for yourself to heal. And until you can do that, and until you can speak up for yourself, then that will never happen. You have to speak up for yourself. You have to be the one to tell this other person, look, I need time to heal, but I will be the best co-parent I can be. And then maybe write out to yourself what that looks like for you. And, don't meet him where his actions are. You don't want to go back down in the gutter. You want to rise up. You want to be the better person. And your children in time will see who was the more integrous person, who was the more honest and open person. And then, everything will fall from there, and everything will resolve from there. And I know that in time, you will get stronger if you implement those tools and work on yourself. Keep working on yourself. And I can talk to you more in person if you want to give me a call anytime. Okay. Here's another question. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I would love to send my ex-wife to this workshop. Can I purchase a gift and have it emailed to her? It would be great to have one text, call, or exchange without her sarcastic jabs. It's old and it makes me cringe every time I hear from her. Yeah, you can buy a gift for her, but I would love for you both to do it. Maybe there's something in something you're saying that causes that reaction, or maybe she's just really hurt still by whatever it was that caused the divorce or the divorce itself, or I don't know. Some people show hurt in so many ways. Like I said before, when a relationship dies, it dies, and people mourn so differently. And some people have a very, very hard time of letting go from anger. There's also another saying. I love all these sayings from everything I've read. When a snake bites you, it's not the venom that kills you. It is the venom that seeps through your veins. And that takes time. And that takes, days to kill you. That poison, the poison from an awful dead relationship, if you still let it seep in your veins and in your body and in your mind and in your heart, that will ultimately kill you. Metaphorically speaking, hopefully, not really. You have to be stronger than that. Your ex doesn't care how angry you are at them still. They've moved on. So why are you holding on to that resentment and bitterness? It's only hurting you. And it's hurting your kids to see their mom or dad not happy. So this, ex-wife here who's been holding on to that anger, please let it go. The song from that famous movie and the famous song, Let It Go, just let it go, because you're doing no one any good by holding on to that. You have to let it go. And when I say have to, I mean you just have to do it. Just do it, let it go. Make a conscious choice to let it go. Because until you put it in your forefront of your brain, you're just going to hold on to it. And again, it serves nobody any good. People do the best that they can do. People are the best that they can be in any given situation. And sometimes people have an explanation for why they acted a certain way. Sometimes people don't know any better. Sometimes, when you're raised in a toxic environment, you become that way as an adult. And it's hard to see it right away until you really kind of peel away those layers. I saw it a lot when I was a prosecuting attorney, and I saw juveniles getting in trouble for things and that their parents did to them. But then guess what? Those juveniles become parents and the cycle continues. And that's same with relationships. You get into a relationship so well-intentioned, and when, infatuation is at the onset, and you're all of these hormones are raging, and you're just so excited, and you're in love, and all of this lovey-dovey stuff. Well, that fades, and sometimes with that, the reality of the situation comes out, and people's real personalities come out, and people are people. And when you look at someone from their whole being and their unconscious and subconscious levels, then you'll get to see the real nitty-gritty of somebody. And you can't control that again unless you can help them, maybe want to get help, but you can only help yourself. So again, let go of that anger, let go of that resentment, and just try to just be at peace. First of all, with yourself, and then at the situation, and then peace will follow. And your kids will be so much happier. Here's another question. Sabrina, I just love you. Well, thank you to whoever said that. I am really interested in your workshop. Will you offer some more personal workshops? I want to work on myself so I can have a healthier relationship with the next guy I date. I kind of ruined a few dates because I was talking too much about my failed marriage. Yes, that's actually going to be another workshop I'm doing. I just love being a motivational speaker and just helping people, an inspirational strategist, communicator. I'm all about relationships, and whether it's a son, daughter, whether it's a father, a father-son, I should say, or mother-daughter relationships, parent-children, co-parents, employer-employee. I've been around the block. I've been in a lot of different experiences. I have a lot of different knowledge. I've had a lot of different educational experiences. And I just as an empath, I know through working through a lot of different things in my life and a lot of challenges that I've seen in my life, I know about relationships, and I can help steer you and guide you. And yes, I am going to be offering some personal growth relationships, empowerment workshops. And please continue to check back. Please continue to check back on our Facebook, on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, because then that way you'll get, all of this updated information about our workshops and what we're offering, and where you can sign up. So yes, I implore you, please do that. And thank you so much for saying that. I'm very, very grateful. Here's another question. Can you suggest tips to help me and my ex agree on our summer schedule? We battle often and it's exhausting. So typically when you are in a court situation, if this went through court, you should have really come up with a planned schedule. If you didn't and you left it open, well, then perhaps you should follow the parenting time schedule of the school year or extend the days. A lot of times people, like for instance, in my situation, we just extend the days because normally they're in school. So, if one of the parents picks up a child at 6, let's just say, for the summertime schedule, if one of the parents is at home, then that child can, be with that parent instead of at school. Just try to follow the order of the court. And if you don't have an order of the court, then I strongly suggest you get one to do away with these battles, because once something's written and decided, it's very hard to change that. So make sure that you communicate effectively, put it in writing, whatever you two agree on. And if it's not an order of the court, then you should definitely make it. I think here's my last question as we're ending the hour. What can I do if I left my wife? If I left my wife and asked for the divorce? Let's see, I'm not sure I understand this question. Let me read it. What can I do if I left my wife and I asked for divorce and it broke her heart, but now I regret my decision? I'm scared she won't ever forgive me for what I've done. Is this post-divorce depression, or did I really mess up? Well, that's a great question to end our 1 hour session today, my challenge to change. Because what this tells me is that during all of the messiness of a marriage, people react and act in the heat of emotion when you should really be taking the time to figure out what's really at issue. Sometimes things are not as bleak as they seem. Sometimes it's just about communicating, and the two parties have to communicate. There's a great book out there called The 5 Love Languages, and they have that for children and parents as well, because it's all based on the fact that different people have different ways of feeling love. What you might think feels love to you might not be what I feel is love. Some people, there's words of affirmation, there's acts of kindness, there are ways to feel love about buying gifts. And it's not like these grandiose gestures. It's like being thoughtful, little gifts here and there, and there's 2 others. But without getting into all the details of that book, it just expresses how people feel love differently. And if you're really invested in a relationship, and it doesn't have to be a marriage, it can be just a relationship without that piece of paper. If you're really invested, then you will be willing to work on it. And I always tell each client that walks through the door, are you sure you want this divorce? Are you sure you want this separation? Because, even if you're not sure, then I say, then wait. Exhaust all of your efforts at making the marriage work. But if they've already checked out the other person and there's no, going back, you can't force someone else to work on the marriage. You can't force that other person to go to therapy. You can't force anything in that other person. All you can do is look at yourself. And if they're not as equally invested, well, I think you have your answers. If one party files for divorce and the other party doesn't counter file, but that other party doesn't withdraw the complaint, well, then you have your answer. They want the divorce. Their actions speak for themselves. So in your situation, I'm sorry to say that I'm sorry to hear that you are regretting your decision. But, if it's truly, I know it's a cliche statement, but if it's truly meant to be, it will be. If you show her how remorseful you are and you work on it, you might have to work on winning her love back or trust. For her, it could be a huge trust issue. Maybe she'll never trust you again. How could she? You pulled the rug right out from her. But if you work on it slowly and build that foundation over again, it may be better than ever, But if you really want to work at it and it's not just coming from a lonely feeling and it's truly, genuinely, sincerely the desire of this relationship back or this woman back, well, then you'll find a way and she'll find a way to trust you. So, and if not, well, then you've learned a valuable lesson. And that lesson is to take your time, be mindful, and don't react in the heat of the moment. Always think about your thoughtful decision, not one based on high emotion. Because when a decision is based on high emotion, then emotions are fleeting. Emotions come and go. So just make sure it's very thoughtfully based. And then, your life will be better no matter what happens. So good luck to you on that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with me. I know this was a more intimate, discussion about our workshops and about me and my experience and just how excited I am to bring you my years of experience and knowledge, not only as an attorney, but more importantly, as someone who wants to bring to you motivation and inspiration and influence to be a better person, not only for yourself and your future, but the future of your children. Because, ladies and gentlemen, after all, they deserve it and you deserve it. So let's be the best versions of ourselves. Please like my YouTube channel. Please like my Cronin Challenge2Change page and the Cronin Law Firm Facebook page. And know that I am here for you. My team is here for you. No matter what you need, we're here for you 24/7. And thank you so much for listening. Stay well, stay positive, and be the best versions of yourself. Bye for now.